Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an engine showcase for you. And right now it's actually this engine, not this one. I just have this in the background just to show you. But anyways, this is a Sunset Santa Fe 280. It is a 1900 class. I think Santa Fe had about 100 of these engines. Now, this is the 1900 class. This in the back here is actually made by PFM United. This is the 1950 class. Now, technically they're actually the same class. They're the same class, but I guess maybe the later 50 engines had some sort of very minor upgrade, so they kind of called it something else, a 1950 class. But technically, they're more or less actually the same engine. There's very few differences, and if you spot the details and everything, they look more or less identical. Obviously, every single steam engine was a little bit different, but yeah. So this is Sunset. This is PFM. So yeah, the video is about this engine. I added DCC sound to this engine. This is my first DCC sound install in a brass engine. Well, first from start to finish, I've had to more or less just like I've bought steam engines that have DCC sound installed already, that were installed very poorly, that I bought from eBay, and so oftentimes I have to take out all the stuff and reinstall it myself. But this is the first start to finish install, like drilling out all the holes and everything like that. This is the first time I've ever done that before, and I think it came out pretty nice. So yeah, I'll remove this out of the way. Because this is unrelated, but I just wanted to show you that PFM also made one of these. And if you guys don't know, the PFM, they made around 8,000 of those, so those are very common. But just to clarify, this is a Sunset one, so it runs a bit better, and there's a bit differences. I think it looks better. But anyway, so yeah, I installed TCS WOWsound. I didn't paint this engine. That's the only reason why I installed sound to it. I have many brass engines that are unpainted. This one, because I'm still trying to figure out how to paint. I just haven't really had the time to experiment, I guess, or learn. I've been busy doing other things. So this engine was pre-painted by some user. It's a decent paint job. I had to do a lot of touch-ups on a lot of areas, but I mean, it looks fine. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm just ranting at this point. So I've done three major things to this engine. I've cleaned out all the grease and stuff from the gearbox and the drivers. The original owner actually just painted it with the wheels and springs and the bearings all inside the engine. They literally they took out the shell and they just painted it like directly down, which is absolutely awful. You do not want to paint you don't want to paint where the bearings and stuff are. That is really bad for your engine. You should take out the wheels, take out the bearings, mask those areas, because there should not be any paint there. It inhibits the driving. So anyways, I cleaned out all that stuff. I cleaned out all the grease, all the disgusting old paint, and then I added some basic black paint to conceal some areas, but for the most part, it is pretty much stock. I added some nice fresh grease. The gearbox I completely took apart and did all the same thing. So that was the first step, and so now it runs a lot smoother, more freely. Although there is still a bind. It's actually a pretty major bind when it goes backwards. You'll see later, but I'm sure if you just everything is. I don't really know what to do much beyond this point. I'm just gonna let it run in for a little bit because I feel like it's not really been running. And also I might need to check the valve gear later. But for now, I'm just trying to install DCC decoder. So yeah, that's another thing I need to improve later. But for now, it runs quietly, smoothly, but except in reverse. So anyways, I did that. And the second thing was I installed lights. So I used little tiny SMD lights. They're kind of hard to see. Excuse the. I'm using a tripod, so I'm moving the tripod around with me. But you can see, I think I concealed the lights pretty well. If you look over here, there's a little tiny wire that goes from the headlight to the, there's a little hole in the top, and then it goes through, and then also in the rear light, which looks like that. You could barely see the little tiny wire. But yeah, so I think I did a pretty good job installing SMD lights. They're very tiny, and they are inside the headlight and rear light. I made sure they're centered and everything, and so these light up like that. So that is Rule 17 lighting. So when you have it moving, it gets brighter, and then when you stop, it goes dimmer again. The flickering is not in real life. It's just because it only shows in video, but it's not actually you don't see it in real life. So because to dim an LED, they basically just turn it on and off really fast. That's how they do it. So that's the reason why it flickers. But anyway, so yeah, it doesn't. You don't see it in real life. But anyway, so these lights, they look really nice. I actually originally made the mistake of using SMD lights from Richmond Controls or something like that. There's nothing wrong with their lights, but the thing is they use magnetic wire, which is basically like wire that's coated in lacquer. But the issue is the lacquer likes to come off very easily. And so what happened was the I tried painting it black and everything, but it still didn't work. The magnetic wire somehow in during some area from the where it connects to the light to where it connects to the plug, it somehow it shorted out, or not shorted out, but it somehow connected to the brass shell. That's the issue with using a brass engine with magnetic wire, because it's easy to have them conduct. So I switched them out for another type of light, also SMD, but it used the person who made them used a actual wire where it has like a really thin rubber coating over it. So yeah, that was very interesting, and so I finally just decided to rip it all out. I actually burnt one SMD while trying to install them. So in total, I used 5 LEDs because I used 2 with the magnetic wire, 1 burnt out, so that's 3, and then I replaced all 3 with 2 the SMDs. And obviously, I'll reuse the magnetic the other 2 SMDs because they're very hard to find and stuff. So, anyways, yeah, so that took a lot of trial and error. And then the next thing was to find a way to connect the engine to tender. I used TCS, those micro connectors, which honestly they're just I'm gonna make them myself next time. But yeah, they're basically just those. There's 2 plugs. I didn't want to drill a hole through the cab like wall over here, so I just had them go underneath and then through. And then I did drill a hole in the tender so it doesn't go that way, because that interferes with the connector and the wheels in the first truck. So I just drilled a little tiny hole here, and it's very hard to see. But yeah, you can see the 2 plugs. They're pretty noticeable. I will be coupling them a little closer with the second hole in the drawbar when actually using it. But this is just to display how the plugs look, and they're black, so they're kind of hard to see. And it's not really, honestly, not a big deal. I don't find them to be annoying. But yeah, so that's that. And then finally, the TCS WOWsound decoder. I wired a 2200 microfarad 16 volt capacitor with them. It's a ginormous capacitor. It's just like right back here. It like sits this way, and it takes up like this entire space here. I also have a speaker with no enclosure, unfortunately. It sounds fine. I'll show you how it sounds later, but yeah, there's no enclosure because the overall shell is enclosure in my opinion. Drilling the holes in the floor was actually very interesting. I think I did a really good job. They're nice and centered. As you can see, it's missing 1 hole here because that's where the brake detail is. But I think I made them very even, and so they actually look pretty good. They're not like just all over the place like most brass installers. Oh, let me actually turn this sound off. Don't want to make a surprise. There we go. Yeah, so I drilled the holes. It took a while. You gradually start with a small bit, and then you gradually get bigger and bigger until you get the size of holes you want. And then why is this not working? And then you just that's a little surprise. But anyways, yeah, so you do that, and then I just put a 28mm speaker. Those are really cheap and common. I found like, I don't know, I bought like 5 for like $5. It's really cheap on eBay. Cheap cheap Chinese electronics, always the way to go. They sound fine, and I had no enclosure because I don't think it needs one. Also, it couldn't fit. I wanted to put the speaker just this way, facing down, but the issue is the sides of the tender kind of wouldn't allow an enclosure, which makes it a little bit bigger. So I could only fit the speaker in. The only way to add an enclosure is either to have the speaker go horizontally, or I guess diagonally, but that's just a waste of space. Now the way I put it here, there's a lot of extra space in here, so if I ever want to add anything else, maybe like a bigger capacitor for a bigger keep alive, or I don't know, something else, it'd be very easy to. And I can even actually add a second speaker if I wanted to, but I don't think I need it. It's very loud already. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So it was pretty easy to install. It was already a CAN motor. As you can see, Sunset engines all have CAN motors and really nice gearboxes, so that wasn't necessary. Although I do, add CAN motors and Northwest Shortline gearboxes to my other brass engines like this one here. It still needs a Northwest Shortline gearbox, but it does have a CAN motor already. So anyways, yeah, so this one was pretty easy. It was already pre-painted for me. I had to just fix up a few paint spots. It had a more or less decent drive, just needed a lot of cleaning. I added lights, I added plugs, and I added a keep alive and a decoder. So that's pretty much it. Now let's see how it runs. So I didn't do too much to the factory defaults. I just added the Rule 17 lighting, as you saw. I changed the whistle to a Santa Fe one, and I changed the bell and generators to whatever sounds I liked. So just to make it a little different, because I don't like the defaults. So yeah, here we go. Here's the headlight. TCS only has 2 Santa Fe whistles. I'm not a huge fan of how the other one sounds, so I just did this one. It doesn't sound amazing. I don't know anything about Santa Fe whistles, but I'm just gonna trust that it sounds accurate or whatever. So yeah. The chuff set, I still haven't matched it. I haven't synchronized it to the wheels, so I'll have to do it later. But as you can see, it's very loud and the sound's very clear. Turn off the bell. Here's the rear light. And so yeah, the going backwards, it's a lot more jerky. It seems to like to stop on that one rotation. So I do believe it is a wheel issue. I'll have to check. Oh, I'll figure that out. But I mean, as far as like running goes, besides that bind, it is silent. So if I turn the sound off, I just go forward. It is completely silent. So yeah, I'll be just probably run it in forward and reverse, let it run in, and then I'll see if it fixes itself. If it doesn't, I'll just, I don't know, do something. I'll just make sure the binds are gone. I think it's something to do with the crank pin, because the original owner did paint all over that, which I'm not a huge fan of. I don't think you should be painting the parts that move, because the paint rubs off anyways. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll just have a little run by at the really end here. That out of sync chuff is kind of annoying me. I'll fix that as soon as I finish this video, but yep, that's pretty much it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. That was actually a pretty fun experience, besides always having to go back and fix the lights, and I actually wired the motor backwards too, so I had to change it up. It just went backwards when I went forward, so when I told it to go forward. So anyways, besides that, oh, what's this? Besides that, that's pretty much it. It was quite, I'll figure that out later. Pretty enjoyable. I think it turned out really well. So the 2 things I need to fix is the binding, and then I need to add lenses on over these headlights, because right now they're just see-through. They just go through. They're hollow. So yeah, but that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sure you guys will see this engine in my future videos sometime soon. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Bye.